It's your boy Austin Rutherford back again. Today we're talking about that money talk, how to talk and negotiate with sellers will put more money into your pocket in real estate than almost anything else out there. Once you learn how to talk and negotiate with sellers and convince people to sell the property to you, it's a complete game changer. It changes the game. You can go from doing maybe one deal a month to 3 to 4 deals a month and nothing else changes. The same marketing, the same budgets, everything's the same. Your conversion is just so much higher because you learn how to talk to people. You learn how to convince people. You learn how to gain commitments from people. And that's what we're talking about here today. And the good news is it's just a conversation. You're not convincing somebody to not jump off a bridge. You're not convincing someone between life and death. It's a conversation. If you're a good fit for them, you convince them that you're a good fit for them. Sometimes you got to get people out of their way to make the decisions that they should make. And if you're not a confrontational person, if you're a very pleasing person, we're going to go through ways to not have that be an issue. Once you learn these skills, it has the ability to put an extra 6 figures, multiple 6 figures in your pocket every year. You should at least hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you drop a comment below for your boy. YouTube loves, it's an algorithm. When you like it, the video gets pushed more, and if we push it enough, I might make another one diving more in depth onto how to negotiate with sellers. So we're gonna dive into the 6 steps of a conversation, but the first thing you gotta understand is confidence is key. When you come across confident talking with somebody, they tend to believe you more. You know, I heard that it's 85% of people that come off extremely confidently, people believe that more rather than when you don't come off confidently. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I just said it confidently, and you probably believe me. You're probably like, oh yeah, that's a good 85% statistic. That's not what it is. If you say something confidently, people believe you. So that's the big takeaway. So first and foremost, the first thing you gotta do is set tone and posture for the conversation. You call and you introduce yourself. You say you're calling to see if they got any interest in buying the house. Get right to it. Don't sugarcoat it. Get right to it. And then you want to set posture for the conversation. So we say, you know, I'm a real estate investor and we don't buy every house we look at, but I wanted to call you and ask you a couple questions so I can get you a cash offer. So right there, you're setting the tone that, hey, we don't need to buy your house. You need us more than we need you. So introduce yourself, set your posture, set the tonality of the conversation. The second thing, you have to start getting the condition of the property. So you got to ask things like, hey, do you live in the house? Is it tenant occupied? Is it vacant? You know, what's the age of the roof? What's the age of the furnace, the AC? Have you done any updates to the kitchen or bathrooms? You want to get as much information on the condition of the property because you're doing this over the phone. You're not in person. It's over the phone. You don't know what the inside looks like. So you have to know the condition so you can make a fair offer. So a good question to ask. Sometimes people will just say, oh, it's in great condition. So one of the good follow-ups here is to ask, okay, if you were to renovate this property to get it to today's standards, what would you renovate? So then they might tell you, well, yeah, you know, I probably would put granite in the kitchen and throw in some stainless steel appliances. So that's a great question to get more out of somebody when they don't want to tell you much information at all. Number 3, you have to know why they want to sell the property. So something as simple as saying, hey, why are you looking to sell the property? Can give you that why. Sometimes people will just come out straight up and say, I lost my job, I got to move, XYZ happened. They'll just be like, boom, here it is. And that's great when they do, but a lot of people will just say, you know, I'm just looking to sell. I just want an offer on the property, and that's not their real why. You have to listen throughout the conversation to other examples of why people might actually be selling. You know, they might say, I got to move my dad into a nursing home, and right there, it may be the dad's house, and now the house is vacant. Now they need to sell the house. Or they might say, you know, I'm actually going down to Florida on vacation this week. That's why I cannot meet you. I'm going down there to look for a house to move into. So they might not tell you, hey, I need to move to Florida, but they may say something in passing about a potential meeting that you might have and them not available for the meeting because they're going to Florida to look at a house. And right there, you know that them wanting to move to Florida is the real why. So you got to understand the true why of why someone wants to sell, because you can use that in the negotiation throughout the conversation. Number 4, you got to get a price out of them. The first person who gives a price loses. 100% guaranteed you lose. You got to get a price out of them. So some of the ways to get a price out of somebody, say, hey, what are you looking to sell the property for? And they might say, well, I don't know. You called me. What are you going to offer me for the property? You can say, you know, I understand I'm actually pulling up comps in the area right now. You know, I'm trying to get a house in the same condition as yours. You know, what do you think your house is worth in today's condition? He may be like, well, I don't know, you tell me. Another question to ask after that point is like, look, you sound like a very knowledgeable man who knows exactly what you want in life. You know, you gotta have a price in mind. You gotta know what price you wanna sell this property for. So now you're saying he's knowledgeable, he's an independent man, and now he's like, yeah, I am independent and I am knowledgeable. I want 100,000. So you gotta ask multiple times to get a price out of somebody. And then some people just won't give you a price. No matter what you do, they will not give you a price. In circumstances like these, you give them a very wide range. So let's say, you know, you pull up the house, it's worth $200,000. From the condition of the property, you know, it needs a $20,000, $30,000 cosmetic rehab. So you need to be somewhere in the $100,000 to $140,000, $150,000 range to purchase this property. So you don't say, hey, you know, I think I can offer you $125,000. You say, look, you know, you're not giving me much information here. You know, I got to pull this number kind of out of nowhere. You know, we'd probably be somewhere in the $90,000 to $140,000 range. Give them such a wide range that it does not commit you to anything. And once you say that, they'll be like, oh God, there's no way on God's earth I'd sell my property for $90,000. I know, that was not my offer to you. That was just a range with the very vague information that you gave me. But how close are we? So be like, no way I'm selling for $90,000. That's not my offer. You know, how close are we to an offer you would accept? And they may be like, well, I'd take $140,000. And then you got your price. So giving them a range makes them then give you the price. And then number 5, once you get a price out of them, you have to negotiate. So this is where it's very key to be listening throughout the entire conversation. You want to remind them of the benefits that you offer, like no realtor fees, like paying all closing costs, like closing on their timeline, like closing as soon as possible, like buying the property with any belongings that they want to leave in the property. So we've had sellers where their biggest concern was cleaning out the property. Simply offering to clean out the property for them after we purchase it, it cost us $1,000 or $2,000, was the difference between getting that deal and not getting that deal. So you have to listen throughout the conversation to see what they're fearful of, and then make your company, make yourself a benefit to that problem. And knowing their why is huge here. So let's say they want to be at 130 and you got to be at 120. You can remind them of, you know, the no realtor fees, the paying closing costs, the closing on your timeline, all those things. But let's say they're still not there. Reminding them of the why. Say, hey, Mr. Seller, you know, I know you said you really want to move down to that house in Florida. Picture and imagine you agreeing to this price and us closing on the property on Monday, and you having a suitcase of $120,000 cash money in your pocket, and you being able to move down to Florida with no other headaches in the world, no other issues. How would that make you feel? So you're tying back their why to your negotiation, and you're getting them emotional, and you're making them think like, I could have this done on Monday. I can have 120 grand in my bank account. I can move down to Florida with no worries. You have to tie back their why, and that's part of the negotiation process. And then last thing, after you give all your benefits out, you know, no closing costs, realtor fees, all those things, say, you know, with all that being considered, Mr. Seller, what do you think the best price that you can give me is? And they may drop themselves a little bit more. So that's a little secret to get a little bit less of a price there. And then number 6, you got to get the agreement signed. So you never want to make a solid offer. You never want to say, hey, I can offer you $120,000 without their prior commitment. We will never give an offer until a seller says, hey, yes, we're ready to commit right now, here today. And what that looks like is, once you start negotiating, you'll get down to a price. You never say yes. You say, okay, you know, again, I think I can do that $120,000. I just got to run it by my business partner. You know, if we can come up to that 120 grand and close on Monday and do this and do that and do that, and then get you moved to Florida as quickly as possible. If we can do all that, do we have an agreement? Are we ready to move forward? Yeah, you know, I think we can make that happen. Awesome. Okay, so if I get my partner to agree to this, you know, we can get an agreement in place here today, and then, you know, get moving forward towards closing, right? Right. Awesome. Put them on hold for like 30 seconds, talk with your business partner, do additional research, or sit there and celebrate, whatever you want to do. Take it off mute and say, I got great news for you. We're ready to go. What's your email? And then get their email, send them a contract. We use it like an e-signature platform like Dotloop or DocuSign or something like that. Send them a contract. They sign it on the phone, and boom, it's like magic. You got another one. We could go on for hours and hours and hours on sales and negotiations training. We've done a 5-hour sales training before. So there's a lot to take in sales and negotiation and talking with sellers. So if you did enjoy this, make sure you hit that like button, Drop a comment below for some of your biggest takeaways and some other questions, some other rebuttals that you've had with sellers, and I'll create another video that dives in way more in depth to topics just like this. Now go out there, start locking up more deals, start making more money, and definitely let me know how this works. Drop a comment below once you start locking up more properties. See you on the next one, guys.